Hello everybody, welcome to this video. We will be ranking Helluva Boss episodes. Please consider subscribing. If you don't want to, it's okay, but it really helps out a lot. Anyway, let's get into the video. Starting with episode 1, Murder Family. This episode is an okay episode. To be fair, it is the first one. I do think some of the episodes are better, but this one is still quite good, so it gets B. Now episode Lulu Land. This is definitely one of the best episodes in season 1. It's a very entertaining episode, and one of my favorites, so it gets a. Now episode 3, Spring Broken. This is a hot take, but I personally really love this episode. It introduces great characters, and this is one of the funniest episodes in the entire season. I don't think it's better than Lulu Land, but better than Murder Family, so it gets a. Now time for Cherub. Another great episode, an alternate version of IMP. Is a really cool concept that's executed quite good. There's not too much to say in this episode, again very funny and very well made, so it gets a. Now time for episode 5, The Full Moon Harvest. This episode is another. We get introduced to Millie's family, and we get Stryker, which is a very fun reoccurring character, as you will see later. And again, very funny. I feel like I'm sensing a pattern. Now for episode 6, Truth Seekers. I used to really like this one, but after a few rewatches, I found it really boring. This episode is not that funny, and the pacing is not the best, but the ending is the thing that is keeping it out of D. Now finally, we got episode 7, Aussies. This is, in my opinion, the best episode of season 1. It introduces fan favorites in the entire series, and with it being one of the last episodes in season 1, it's just all out a really good episode. Now it's time for the last episode in season 1, Queen Bee. I actually think this is the worst episode in the entire series. It's just filler, and with it being the last episode in season 1, I would expect something a bit better. Nothing really important happens this episode, but it's not that bad. It's just disappointing. Now it's time for season 2, starting with episode 1, The Circus. This is a backstory episode. I normally would really like these types episodes, but I think the voice acting is a thing keeping it down. I think it gets better whenever the child part ends and they become grown-ups again, but I feel like this episode is not that good. Now it's season episode 2, Seeing Stars. I actually think this episode is really good. It has really good character development, and with it being pretty funny, I think it gets B. The only reason it's not it's because I don't really like the Moxie and Millie side plot. Now it's finally time for the best episode, season episode 1, X's and Ooze. This is my favorite episode in the entire series. We get a bunch of Moxie lore, and this is the most disturbing episode in the entire series. I love it. Easiest S in my entire life.
He can get hurt?
Now time for episode 5, Unhappy Campers. This episode is really not that good. It's a lot like Queen Bee with it being filler. I do think it gets a bit hated, because the only reason I didn't like Queen Bee is because it's the last episode of season 1, so it's supposed to be important, but this one, being in the middle of the season, makes it better. But still, really the only good thing about this episode is Barbie Wire, but she's only on screen for like 3 minutes. Finally, we have episode 6, Oops. This is an insanely good episode. We get more of Moxie's father, Stryker, Blitz, and Fizz, which are some of the best characters in the entire series. And we get the song Look at This, which is actually fire. So overall, a really good episode. Now we have episode 7, Mammon's Magnificent Musical Mid. This episode flushes out Fizz's story. And this episode has the best song in the entire series, in my opinion, 2 Minutes Notice. And this episode has the most wholesome scene in the entire series. Now we have a very interesting episode, The Full Moon. For the good stuff, we get a lot of emotional stuff, and we get to see Cherub again, which is really cool. There's really not too much to say this episode. It's just a pretty forgettable episode, but that doesn't mean it's bad. Now we have a pretty controversial episode, Apology Tour. I personally really love this episode. I think it gives her so much more likability. This episode gets a lot more character to Blitz, and this is definitely a more serious episode than the others. Now time for season episode 10. I actually really don't like this episode, especially that it comes right before the really good episodes. The only reason it's not going in D is because it gives some lore about Blitz's mom. Now time for episode 11, Mastermind. We get introduced to Satan, which is a very cool design character. And the song this episode is weirdly really good. Sensimus is peak because of the scene.